Eli Mercer stepped off the shuttle onto the surface of Threxia, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was his first official assignment as Earth's new diplomat to the Threxian Alliance, a chance to build peace and trust between two very different worlds. The bright blue sky above shimmered with strange clouds, and the air smelled faintly of minerals and something unfamiliar. He adjusted his diplomatic badge and straightened his suit. Around him, the alien city stretched tall and sleek, its towers twisting like vines into the sky. It was unlike anything Eli had ever seen before, full of advanced technology and deep culture. He knew the stakes were high. Earth's reputation was on the line. But from the moment he arrived, one figure stood out, and not in a welcoming way. Commander Valari was waiting near the landing platform. She was one of Threxia's most respected leaders, known for her skill in battle and sharp mind. Her blue-gray skin reflected the sunlight, and her piercing yellow eyes looked directly at Eli with a cold, unreadable expression. Eli approached her carefully, offering a polite nod and a greeting. "Commander Valari, I'm Eli Mercer, Earth's new diplomat. It's an honor to meet you." Valari's lips tightened into a thin line. She said nothing. Instead, she turned and walked away, her long silver hair flowing behind her like a banner. A few Threxian officers nearby exchanged uneasy glances but said nothing. Eli frowned. This was not the welcome he had hoped for. Over the next few days, Eli tried to engage with Valari during official meetings and social events. Each time, she gave him cold answers or ignored his presence altogether. Her sharp words cut through the polite atmosphere like a knife. It wasn't just professional distance. It felt personal, deep and lasting. In the large hall of the Threxian Council, Valari openly challenged Eli's ideas about cooperation and diplomacy. "Humans do not understand our ways," she said, once, her voice low but firm. "Your kind brings chaos, not peace." Eli kept his calm, answering carefully, "I am here to build trust, Commander. Our people deserve a chance to learn from each other." Valari's glare hardened. Trust is earned, not given. And some debts run too deep. No one else spoke up. The other Threxian diplomats watched silently, their expressions mixed between curiosity and caution. Eli could sense an invisible wall between him and Valari, blocking any chance of friendship. Late one evening, Eli found himself alone in the quiet gardens outside the embassy building. The soft hum of alien insects filled the air, and strange flowers glowed faintly in the dark. He sat on a bench, rubbing his temples. Why did Valari hate him so much? He thought back to his first days on Threxia, to the cold looks, the harsh words, and the whispered warnings he overheard. "Scourge of Zel 9, someone had muttered once as he passed. The words made no sense to him. Determined to find answers, Eli pulled out his datapad and began searching through the Threxian archives. But many records were locked behind security codes, and official files gave no clear explanation. The next morning, Eli met with his assistant, Lena, a sharp-minded woman with quick eyes. "Lena, do you know anything about this XL9? He asked quietly. She frowned. "It's a colony on the edge of Threxian space. There was an incident years ago. Something terrible happened there, but the full details are classified." Eli nodded slowly. "Do you think it has anything to do with Valari's hatred?" "Maybe," Lena said. "Commander Valari lost family in that incident. People say she blames humans." Eli's chest tightened. How could something from the past cause so much anger? He knew humans and aliens had made mistakes before, but this was something personal. That afternoon, Eli was called to a council meeting with Valari and other leaders. The room was filled with tense energy. Valari stood, her voice cold and commanding. "Humans have come here pretending to offer friendship, but their history tells another story. We cannot forget the blood spilled on Zel 9. Eli raised his hand calmly. "Commander, I am here to represent a new path forward. I do not deny past mistakes, but we can choose peace now." Valari's eyes burned with anger. "Peace built on lies is no peace at all." The meeting ended with no resolution. Eli left feeling frustrated but more determined. If he could understand the true story behind Zell 9, maybe he could change Valari's mind and heal a wound older than his own career. That night, Eli stood by his window, looking out at the glowing cityscape. Somewhere in those shining towers, Valari carried her pain and hatred, and somewhere inside him, a growing resolve to uncover the truth and earn her trust. Tomorrow, he promised himself, he would dig deeper, no matter what it took. The following morning, Eli Mercer arrived at the Threxian Orbital Defense Station. It was a massive structure floating silently above the planet, a symbol of the Alliance's strength and vigilance. Today, a joint training exercise was scheduled, humans and Threxians working together to respond to simulated threats. Eli wasn't a soldier, but as Earth's diplomat, he was invited to observe and support the effort. As Eli stepped onto the metal floor of the station, he felt the hum of powerful engines beneath his feet. He watched as Threxian officers, tall and disciplined, coordinated their teams with precision. Among them was Commander Valari, standing apart with her arms crossed and a sharp gaze that seemed to pierce through the noise. Eli tried to catch her attention with a nod, but she barely glanced at him. The coldness remained, a silent barrier between them. Suddenly, the alarms blared. Red lights flashed throughout the station. An unexpected reactor malfunction had caused a chain reaction in one of the power cores. The warning sirens echoed loudly, and thick smoke began to fill the corridor. "Everyone to emergency stations," shouted a Threxian officer. Eli's heart raced as the crew scrambled to respond. The safety protocols were complex, and the station's artificial gravity flickered. In the chaos, Valari ran ahead toward the reactor chamber. Eli hesitated but then followed, driven by instinct. When he reached the heavy blast doors, he saw smoke billowing out. Inside, Valari was working to shut down the failing core. Suddenly, the chamber shuddered, and a panel exploded nearby. Debris flew toward her. Without thinking, Eli lunged forward, grabbing Valari's arm and pulling her out of harm's way. She stumbled, but did not fall. For a moment, they stood close, breathing heavily. Valari looked at him, surprise flashing in her eyes. "You saved me," she said quietly, her voice different, softer, almost unsure. Eli nodded. "We're on the same side, Commander. We need to protect each other." Valari didn't answer, but studied him carefully. As emergency crews contained the damage, Eli stayed by Valari's side. The station's loudspeaker announced a full system check, and the alarm ceased. Later, in the medical bay, Valari sat silently while technicians, mined her. Eli waited nearby, unsure what to say. He wanted to ask why she treated him so harshly before, but now, after what happened, his confusion grew. Finally, Valari spoke, her voice steady but low. "Why do you come here? You know humans caused pain to my people." Eli met her eyes. "I don't deny that mistakes were made, but I am not here to bring more pain. I want to understand, and I want to help." Valari's face softened just a little. "Words are easy, actions must follow," Eli agreed. "Then let me prove it." The days after the accident were tense but quieter between them. Valari still kept her distance, but Eli noticed moments where her anger seemed to fade. Sometimes, when no one was watching, she glanced at him with curiosity instead of disdain. One evening, Eli joined a council dinner where diplomats and military leaders gathered. The atmosphere was formal but friendly, except for Valari's icy presence. She sat at the head of the table, commanding respect with every gesture. Eli tried to speak with her afterward, hoping to build a bridge. "Commander Valari," he said gently, "I want to learn more about your people's history. Maybe understanding the past will help us build a better future." Valari studied him for a long moment. "Very well, but you must be prepared. The truth is not always kind." Eli nodded. "I am ready." Later that night, Eli met Lena in the embassy's library. Together, They started reviewing old mission reports and historical files about Threxia's past conflicts. Most documents were heavily redacted, but they found enough to piece together part of the story. The colony XL9, at the edge of Threxian space, had been a peaceful settlement until a violent attack by unknown forces threatened its people. A joint rescue mission was launched by the Earth Alliance fleet years ago, but it ended in disaster. The mission was forced to retreat under heavy fire, leaving many colonists behind. Valari's family had lived on Zel 9. Her younger sister was among those lost. Eli felt a heavy weight settle in his chest. The anger and hatred he had faced suddenly made sense. "Why didn't your government tell me this before?" Eli asked Lena. "Because it's a painful memory," she answered softly. "Both sides want to move on but never forget." Eli knew that to change Valari's mind, he would need to face this painful past honestly. The truth behind the Zel 9 tragedy was the key. The next morning, Eli sent a request to Earth's archives to access classified files related to Zel 9. He hoped to find answers that would explain what really happened and why Valari blamed humans so deeply. As he waited, he prepared for the difficult conversations ahead. He knew Valari's hatred was not just personal. It was a wound shared by many on Threxia. Eli looked up at the sky outside his window. The stars shone brightly above the alien world. Somewhere beyond those lights was the truth waiting to be found, and Eli was determined to uncover it. The days passed slowly as Eli waited for access to the classified Earth files about the XL9 mission. The mystery of what truly happened on that distant colony weighed on him heavily. He could no longer ignore the deep hatred Commander Valari held, not just against him, but against all humans. To break through that wall, he needed the truth. One afternoon, a secure message arrived from Earth's Alliance archives. The files were heavily encrypted, but with Lena's help, Eli managed to unlock the key details. His eyes widened as he read the report. Years ago, the colony of Zel 9 had been a quiet, thriving settlement of both Threxians and humans. But a sudden attack by a violent alien group, called the Ravok Raiders, devastated the colony. The Earth Alliance fleet was sent to rescue the survivors. Eli's own father, Admiral Marcus Mercer, commanded the rescue mission. The report revealed a difficult truth. The mission faced overwhelming enemy forces, and despite heroic efforts, the fleet was ordered to retreat before completing the rescue. Many colonists, including families of Threxian leaders, were left behind. The report carefully noted that the decision to retreat was not made lightly, but was enforced by higher command, prioritizing the safety of the fleet over the colony. Eli felt a sharp pain. He had grown up hearing stories of his father's bravery but never knew this secret burden he carried. He shared the files with Lena, who looked grave. "No wonder Valari hates humans," she said softly. She lost her sister in that retreat. Eli realized that Valari's hatred was not personal but born from a deep wound, a loss that shaped her life and her people's history. That evening, Eli requested a private meeting with Commander Valari. To his surprise, she accepted. They met in a quiet chamber within the embassy, a room filled with soft light and alien plants. Valari's expression was unreadable as Eli approached. "Commander," Eli began, "I have seen the files about Zel 9. I now understand why you blame humans." Valari's eyes flickered with emotion, but she said nothing. "My father led that mission," Eli continued. "He was forced to retreat. I don't know if you hate him personally, but I want you to know I'm not him." Valari finally spoke, her voice steady but filled with sadness. "I do not hate you, Eli Mercer. I hate the choice that left my sister behind." She looked away for a moment, gathering her strength. "That day broke my family and my people. Since then, I have carried that pain. Every human reminds me of what was lost." Eli nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I wish I could change what happened, but I promise to work for a future where no one must suffer like that again." Valari met his gaze. "Words alone are not enough, but your honesty means something." For the first time, Eli saw a hint of respect in her eyes, Over the next weeks, their conversations became more frequent. They discussed the past, the losses, and the challenges ahead. Valari shared stories of her sister, her laughter, her dreams, and the life that was taken. Eli listened carefully, understanding that this was not just history. It was personal. Outside their talks, tensions in Threxia simmered. Some factions still distrusted humans fiercely, and political debates grew heated. Eli and Valari found themselves at the center of fragile peace. One afternoon during a council meeting, Valari stood and addressed the assembly. "We cannot forget Zel 9, but we must decide if we will let hate control our future." Her voice echoed through the chamber. "I have seen Eli Mercer's sincerity. He seeks to build, not destroy." The room was silent. Many nodded in agreement, but some remained doubtful. After the meeting, Valari approached Eli. "We have a long road ahead," she said quietly. Eli smiled. "Then let's walk it together." That night, Eli gazed out over the city. The stars above seemed brighter, as if hope was returning to Threxia. He knew the truth about Zel 9 had been the key, not just to understanding Valari's hatred, but to beginning a friendship that could change their worlds forever. The days following Eli's meeting with Commander Valari brought a new sense of cautious hope. Though the deep wound from the Exel 9 tragedy had not yet healed, a fragile bridge was forming between them, built from honesty and a shared desire for peace. Still, Eli knew the road ahead would not be easy. Many secrets remained buried beneath layers of fear and silence. One morning, Eli received an unexpected message from a high-ranking official in Earth's alliance. The message contained additional classified reports, this time from the covert archives related to the Zel 9 mission and the years that followed. With Lena's help, Eli carefully reviewed the files in a secure room within the embassy. The documents revealed a harsh reality. After the failed rescue mission, Earth's government chose to hide many details of what had happened, fearing political fallout. Some records had been deliberately erased or altered. One file stood out, a communication from Admiral Marcus Mercer, Eli's father. It was a private message sent shortly after the retreat. The Admiral expressed deep regret and frustration at the orders given, writing that he had wished to do more, to save more lives, but was bound by rules he could not break. Eli's hands trembled as he read his father's words. For the first time, he saw the man behind the legend, a man torn between duty and conscience. Lena looked over Eli's shoulder, her voice soft. "This explains why your father never spoke about Zel 9. Eli nodded. He carried this burden in silence. Later that day, Eli requested a private meeting with Valari once more. He felt the need to share this truth, the buried regrets, the hidden pain that even his father could not voice publicly. Valari agreed and met him in the embassy's peaceful garden, where alien flowers glowed faintly under the soft light. "Commander," Eli began, "there is more to the story. My father, he did not abandon those people lightly. He was trapped by orders he could not refuse." Valari listened silently, her gaze fixed on a delicate bloom. Eli continued, "I know it does not change the past, but I want you to know that even those who caused pain suffered in their own way." Valari's voice was quiet but steady. "Your father's regret does not erase the loss, but it shows a truth often hidden." She paused, then looked at Eli. "You carry his name, yet you stand for something different." Eli met her eyes. "I want to build a future where our mistakes do not define us." Valari nodded slowly. "This truth, it is like ice buried deep beneath the surface. Cold and hard, but if we can bring it to light, perhaps it can thaw." For the first time, Valari reached out and placed a hand on Eli's arm. A simple gesture, but one filled with meaning. Over the next weeks, the embassy buzzed with new energy. News of Eli's discovery spread quietly through the corridors. Some Threxians still held suspicion, but many began to see the humans in a different light. Eli and Valari worked together to organize a memorial for the victims of Zel 9, a ceremony to honor those lost on both sides. It was a bold step, one that required courage and trust. On the day of the memorial, leaders from Earth and Threxia gathered under the open sky. A gentle breeze carried the scent of alien blossoms as Eli spoke. "We remember those who suffered at Zell 9, he said. "Not to blame, but to learn. To build a future where no family loses a loved one to war or fear." Valari stood beside him, her usual stern expression softened. "We honor the past, so our children may live in peace." The crowd bowed their heads in silent respect. After the ceremony, Valari and Eli shared a quiet moment. "You have taken a brave step," she said. "Truth is not easy to face, but it is the foundation of trust." Eli smiled. "And trust is the only way forward." That night, Eli reflected on how far they had come. The icy barrier of hatred was slowly melting, replaced by understanding and hope. But he knew that challenges remained. The shadows of the past were long, and old wounds could reopen at any moment. Still, Eli felt stronger, not just as a diplomat, but as a bridge between two worlds. He looked toward the stars once more. The truth buried in ice was finally rising to the surface. And with it, the chance for a new beginning. Not long after the memorial, tensions on Threxia took a sudden turn for the worse. A rogue faction, angry that the past was being revealed and feared that peace with humans threatened their power, launched a violent attack on a joint research station near the planet's edge. The station was designed to study new energy sources and was critical to the fragile alliance. Eli was visiting the station when the attack began. Explosions shook the facility, alarms blared, and thick smoke filled the air. The attackers used advanced weapons, forcing the scientist and security teams to scramble for cover. Among the chaos, Eli caught sight of Commander Valari, directing the defense with sharp commands and fearless determination. Though she still kept her distance from him, their shared goal was clear: survive and protect the station. Suddenly, a heavy blast sealed the main exit. Eli and Valari found themselves trapped together inside the crumbling building. The air was thick with dust and the power flickered. Outside, distant sounds of battle echoed. It was a dangerous situation, and a chance neither had expected. Valari scanned the damaged hallway. "We must find another way out. The east corridor leads to the emergency shuttle bay." Eli nodded. "Lead the way." Together, they moved cautiously through the debris, stepping over broken panels and dodging falling wires. As they advanced, an alien creature, accidentally released during the attack, appeared, its large eyes glowing in the dim light. It moved quickly, blocking their path. Valari raised her energy weapon, but Eli held up a hand. "Wait. It's scared, not hostile." He spoke calmly and slowly backed away, showing no threat. The creature hesitated, then turned and fled into a side chamber. Valari looked at Eli with surprise. "You understand them better than I expected." Eli shrugged. Sometimes fear causes more danger than anger. Their escape was not easy. Sabotaged doors, unstable floors, and failing systems tested their resolve. Yet through cooperation, they found ways to help each other. At one point, Valari injured her leg on a fallen beam. Eli helped her, carefully applying a field bandage to stop the bleeding. "Thank you," she said quietly. "No need to thank me," Eli replied. "We're in this together." Hours later, they reached the emergency shuttle bay. The small craft was damaged but still functional. As they prepared for takeoff, they heard distant footsteps. The rogue attackers were closing in. Valari looked at Eli. "You're willing to risk everything for me." Eli smiled. "I'm willing to risk everything for peace." They launched just as the attackers burst into the bay, escaping the danger behind them. Back on Threxia's capital, the attack shocked the leaders. It was clear that not everyone wanted peace, but the courage shown by Eli and Valari during the crisis earned them new respect. In the days that followed, Valari's attitude toward Eli began to change. Though her guard remained, she sought his counsel on security matters and invited him to strategy meetings. One evening, As they reviewed plans together, Valari said softly, "You have proven yourself in battle and in trust, but there is still much to overcome." Eli nodded. "I know. Healing old wounds takes time." She looked at him with a faint smile. "You are unlike any human I have known." Eli felt warmth from her words, a sign of progress. Outside the embassy, the people of Threxia whispered about the unlikely team. Some doubted the alliance would hold, but many hoped for a future where old hatred could be broken. Eli thought about the past, the tragedy of Zell 9, the silence and fear that followed, and the recent battle that forced him and Valari to rely on each other. He realized that the broken chain of distrust was beginning to mend, link by link. Yet, he also knew that the most difficult test was still ahead, winning not just the respect of leaders, but the hearts of two very different peoples. That night, as Eli gazed at the stars from his quarters, he felt a quiet determination. The past had shaped their present, but the future was theirs to write. And together, they would face whatever came next. Days after the attack on the research station, a wave of unease still lingered over Threxia. Though peace talks continued, many eyes remained watchful and wary. The scars of the past were deep, and old fears did not disappear quickly. One afternoon, Eli received an urgent message. Valari had been injured during a routine security inspection. A falling piece of debris had struck her leg, leaving her unable to walk properly. Concerned, Eli rushed to the medical wing of the embassy, where Valari was resting. The usually strong and proud commander lay quietly on the bed, her face pale, but composed. When Eli entered, she gave a small nod in greeting. "I came as soon as I heard," Eli said softly. "How are you feeling?" Valari managed a faint smile. "Better than expected, but I will need time to recover." Eli sat beside her, careful not to crowd her space. "If you need anything, just ask." Valari's eyes met his. "I am not used to needing help." "That's why I'm here," Eli replied. "You don't have to face everything alone." Over the following days, Eli stayed nearby, offering company and assistance. Their conversations deepened beyond politics and duty. Valari shared stories of her childhood, the loss of her sister, and the heavy responsibility she carried as a leader. Eli listened without judgment, understanding that her hatred was not born from hatred itself, but from pain. One evening, as the stars shone outside the window, Valari spoke quietly. "I have hated humans for so long, but you have shown me something different." Eli nodded. "I never asked you to forgive me. Forgiveness is your choice, not my demand." She looked at him thoughtfully. "Forgiveness is not surrender, it is strength." The moment was fragile, but filled with meaning. Their bond, once built on silence and suspicion, was slowly transforming into trust. However, peace was still fragile. The rogue faction's threat remained, and political rivals watched their growing closeness with suspicion. One day during a council session, a senator questioned Eli's role. "How can we trust a human whose kind once abandoned us? Can we risk our future on old enemies?" Valari stood to defend him. "I have seen Eli's courage and honesty. He is not his ancestors' mistakes. We must move forward, or be doomed to repeat the past." The chamber filled with murmurs, but Valari's words carried weight. After the meeting, Eli found Valari waiting outside. "You risked much today?" She smiled faintly. "Because the future depends on it." Eli took a deep breath. "Thank you for believing in me." Valari's expression softened. "It is not just belief, it is hope." Their relationship continued to grow, built on shared experiences and mutual respect. Eli learned the value of patience and understanding. Valari learned that not all humans were the enemy. One quiet morning, Valari invited Eli to join her in the embassy gardens. The air was cool and alien flowers blossomed gently around them. She turned to him and said, "You have helped me carry a burden I thought I would bear alone forever." Eli smiled. We carry burdens better together. Valari's gaze held his. Your touch awakened something I never expected, a chance for healing. Eli felt a warmth he had never known before. Their hands brushed briefly, a silent promise of friendship, and perhaps something more. Though the path ahead remained uncertain, Eli and Valari knew that together they could face the challenges to come. Because forgiveness, they had learned, was not weakness, but the greatest strength of all. The day of the truth had finally arrived. Eli Mercer stood before a crowd gathered in the grand hall of the Threxian Council. Leaders, diplomats, and citizens from both Earth and Threxia filled the room, their faces a mix of hope, doubt, and curiosity. Cameras floated overhead, broadcasting the event across planets. Eli's heart pounded. Today, he would reveal the full story of the Zell 9 tragedy, the secrets hidden for years in classified files, the burdens carried by his family and many others. Beside him stood Commander Valari. Her usual stern face was calm, her eyes steady. She had asked to be there, to stand not as an enemy but as an ally. Taking a deep breath, Eli began. Friends of Threxia and Earth, he said, voice clear and strong. We gather today not to reopen old wounds, but to heal them, to remember those lost at Zell 9, and to honor their memory with truth. He paused, letting the words sink in. For years, much of what happened has been hidden. The Earth Alliance was forced to retreat during the rescue mission. Orders came from High Command prioritizing the safety of the fleet. Many lives were left behind. Among them were families like Commander Valari's. Valari stepped forward and spoke with quiet dignity. The loss shaped my life and my people. It left pain and anger that I carried for many years. But today, I choose to look forward, to build peace from the ashes of tragedy. Murmurs of understanding and respect rippled through the crowd. Eli continued, I share this not to excuse past mistakes, but to take responsibility, to show that the future is ours to shape, together. After the speeches, a moment of silence filled the hall. Then, one by one, leaders and citizens stood, offering respect. The gesture was small but powerful. Later, outside the hall, Valari turned to Eli. You have changed many minds today. Eli smiled. I could not have done it without you. She nodded. Trust is fragile, but we have taken the first steps. Over the following weeks, the alliance between Earth and Threxia grew stronger. Trade agreements were signed, cultural exchanges began, and joint missions to explore new worlds were planned. Eli and Valari became symbols of hope, proof that old hatred could be overcome with courage and honesty. One evening, standing on a balcony overlooking the glowing city, Valari spoke softly. Eli, you asked me once if I hated you. Now I say this, I respect you. You are not your father, but you carry his strength in a new way. Eli took her hand gently. And you carry the spirit of your sister, the hope for your people. Their eyes met, and in that moment a new bond was forged. One of friendship, respect, and perhaps something more. Though their worlds were different, they had found common ground. A future where humans and Threxians could stand side by side, not as enemies, but as partners. As stars sparkled above the alien skies, Eli felt a quiet joy. The hatred that once seemed unbreakable had given way to understanding, and that was only the beginning.